Happy Tuesday. It's time for Coffee and Cursey Words Live, and today is a lawyer reacts to Nike suing MSCHF over the Satan shoes. I'm just going to preface all of this. I'm going to preface all of this with, if you are deeply offended by this shoe, if you are deeply offended by Lil Nas X, this might not be the stream for you because it's kind of silly. And I know some people are deeply offended by the, pentagrams and the 666 iconography. I understand that you might be deeply offended, but also I don't want to offend you further by kind of making fun of this lawsuit a little bit, because that is the attitude that we're coming here with on this today. We have kind of a fluffy, silly lawsuit. We're talking about shoes. Are they brand damaging? Are they not brand damaging? Is there human blood in them? Why is no one talking about the human blood? Like, we're going to have a little bit of fun with this today. Obviously, this is probably serious for Nike, maybe for MSCHF as well. Probably not, because with MSCHF, they're probably thrilled that they've been sued for the outrage marketing of it all. So, chat, we're just going to have some lighthearted fun talking about a lawsuit and some devil shoes. And I was listening to Sympathy for the Devil by the Rolling Stones before I came on live. That's where my head's at this morning. I think we should just get into it. That's the only case we're covering today. We have a little bit of housekeeping to do, and then we're getting into it. So let's just get into it. Hey there. If we haven't met yet, I'm Emily D. Baker, the badass lawyer and everyone's favorite legal commentator. I'm the host of The Emily Show, and I break down the legal shit behind the news and pop culture stories we all want to talk about. I have been a licensed attorney for over 15 years, but this is not legal advice. I should warn you, I'm a big fan of the Cursey words. This channel is where the law nerds unite to talk about facts, not fuckery. We're here for the Cursey words. I have my Coffee and Cursey Words shirt on today from the Law Nerd Shop. I love it. Some housekeeping items before I pull up this lawsuit and we get into it. And we are going to do Friday's Court of Public Opinion. This one was close. So housekeeping items. A lot of you have reached out over social media regarding all of the horrible flooding here in the Nashville area. We have been all good. Our kids' schools have been all good, but there is a lot in the area that is flooded. I will be donating again to the Community Resource Center. I will put links down below to their Amazon shop, to their direct donation link if you want to directly donate to them as well to help with the cleanup. Nashville's been through a lot from the Christmas bombing and the crazy weather and snow that caused issues, and now this flooding. So I'm going to be doing that. If you want to, you can. I just wanted to make sure that we had an option for those of you that were looking to help, but we are all good. Things are obviously a little sloggy and muddy. So that's what it is. Also, it is going to be the first of the month on the first Thursday of the month. So just a reminder for everyone who's a channel member, our members only live stream. Look, I might've forgotten. I was like, oh my God, Thursday is April 1st. So we do a members only live stream, just the members of the channel, that stays up for the members of the channel the first Thursday of every month. And the first Thursday of this month happens to also be the first day of April. So just a reminder to all the members, and you will get a reminder if you're in the text crew, and you'll get a reminder on the community tab. But if you're not a member and you want to, you can go ahead and do that. You can hit the join. You can go to Law Nerds Unite, and we will have that members only live stream on Thursday. And then we will have Friday Night Live. And then it is Easter weekend for those who celebrate. It is Passover for those who celebrate. So there's a lot going on this week. What else? There are other lawsuits I've been covering that have wrapped up. I was just going to get into all of those today, but this definitely kind of takes the cake. The Taylor Swift Evermore suits, I will probably juxtapose this a little bit too. That suit has resolved. It looks like they've settled for a walk away. With regard to the Haley Page suit, another suit has been filed. I'll cover that later on. So let's get to Court of Public Opinion first, and then just get into this. I'm going to talk about kind of the media surrounding the lawsuit and the story surrounding the lawsuit for those of you that are like, girl, what? And then we will talk about the lawsuit. Of course, I went to Pacer, downloaded the suit, did a quick skim. You're going to get my first reacts on it. And that's what it is. So it's great to see everybody in the chat. Since it's coffee and cursey words, let me know what you are drinking. I've got, coffee, and it's bulletproof coffee today. This is my favorite like traveler mug to keep it warm because I drink coffee slowly. Let me know what you're drinking this morning. It's fantastic. And then we will get into this lawsuit and then questions at the end. I will, for the replay crew, I won't. Tech Valor will because she's amazing. We will have timestamps down below if you just want to see the questions, if you just want to see the breakdown of the lawsuit, if you just want to see the kind of the story around this, we will do that. So I saw a few super chats come in. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Please allow me to introduce myself. I love the play on the fact that I've been listening to the Rolling Stones. I'm a fan of Lil Nas X. So Lil Nas X, I wasn't super familiar with, and then it was Old Town Road, and then like every kid my kid's age like loved Old Town Road. And then we had to figure out which Old Town Road we liked best because there's so many remixes and the covers all have different amounts of horses on them. My kids like the one with 4 horses on it. I think that's the one with like Billy Ray Cyrus et al. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not hugely familiar with Lil Nas X, but I'm also not deeply offended by much because I figure like if I'm offended, I'll just go. Like people are allowed to be offensive. That's kind of one of the founding principles of America is we're allowed to offend one another, and then we can just choose to not, as long as it's not hurting anyone. I don't see Lil Nas X's music video and shoes as hurting anyone. Oh, I can't wait. Joy Daily. I will check that out on Instagram. Look, I was not on social much this weekend. And then yesterday, I just wasn't on social much either. We had stuff to do around here, and I was really deep diving into all of the legal documents in the Girardi case because the podcast tomorrow is regarding everything that's gone down in the Girardi case. And there was stuff I hadn't had a chance to read. So it was just a deep dive. Question, did Nike sue when MSCHF did the Jesus shoes? No, they sure didn't. I'll talk about that. I have questions. I did not mention the Zach Peter interview, but I did an interview with Zach. I'm not sure what day it goes up. When it goes up, I will share it. We talked on Monday. I'm very excited to share that. We had a great conversation. So yes. All right. And then I will get to the lawsuit questions. But first, for all of you that are familiar with the channel, we do court of public opinion questions on Friday and we do rulings on Tuesday. For those of you that are new to the channel or this is your first time watching me, we do court of public opinions on Friday. Why do we do court of public opinion? The law nerds are a very intelligent group and we solve the problems of the world, truly, in a fun way with healthy banter and debate regarding, the topics of the day that are so critical to us. This week, I asked about spoilers. What's the statute of limitations, the length of time to give a spoiler warning for streaming content? This is going to be different for movies released in theater, for books, but for streaming content. Like, how long do you go until you stop saying spoiler? And are weekly episodes different from like a movie or a Netflix drop where it drops like everything at once? Because not all of us are up, for 24 hours to watch the whole thing. So that was the question this week. Let's look at what y'all had to say. All right, court of public opinion. I'm going to pull up and share my screen so you can see. We're going to go through the vote on the community tab here on YouTube and then the vote on the Twitters because we vote both places and it's different people voting in both. But what I love is that the results are normally pretty similar. Like y'all are on the same wavelength with this one. So here's the statute of limitations on spoilers. According to YouTube, with over 9,000 votes in, always warn spoilers. Yes, it was a Doctor Who reference. Yes, I am a giant fucking nerd. Yes. So some said 24 to 48 hours, a week, a month, always warn. I believe it was on Twitter, though it might have been here on YouTube, where some of our international friends reminded us that with regard to spoilers, The internet is very, very international. Okay. But Netflix doesn't always release things in different countries at the same time. So it was really a helpful reminder like, hey, I'm in another country. The world does not revolve around the US. Sometimes we forget. I mean, we do. We do as a collective that we are not the center of the universe. I am poking fun. It's fine. But that when we're talking on Twitter, that Twitter reaches everywhere, but the Netflix shows haven't always dropped everywhere. So I think it was, you know, fair. I think it's fair. I think it's fair. So always warn, spoilers, 53%. Great. 53%. And I love what you guys had to say. A month for weekly releases, 1 to 2 months after for an entire series or 2-hour plus content. I think it's really well taken. La la la, Lily. And then 6 months to a year for movies released in theaters. Anyone who gets mad for spoilers on something more than 2 years old can get over it if they weren't going to watch anyway. Exception is if somebody tells you they want to watch. And I think that's fair to ask, like, hey, do you want to watch this? Do you not want to watch this? Spoiler. So I think it's fair. It's hard with certain things. I felt bad for Megan Shepherd, who said, when I saw Avengers Endgame, the drive-in theater played a trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming right before the movie. Guess who got the heartbreaking ending spoiled for her? I was pissed. That would have pissed me off. If I'm going to see a movie and the trailer for an upcoming movie spoils the movie, I would have been super mad. So I absolutely get it. So I think always ask is kind of where we're at because that's what's polite with streaming content. Let's see what the Twitters had to say. The Twitters, look, we had 53% on YouTube with Always Warn, and on Twitter with 1,600 votes, Always Warn at 42%. And I think we live in such a diverse streaming culture and atmosphere that asking is fair. Asking is fair. So that's what it is. Asking for spoilers. Now, that doesn't mean you can't post things on the interwebs and say spoiler. So I think it's fair to say spoiler and then post it. So yeah, I avoid the internet. Like if I'm really into a show like The Mandalorian, which I loved, if I'm really into a show and know that it's aired and I haven't seen it, I avoid the internet because I don't want to accidentally spoil myself. But also I've had friends in other time zones call and be like, oh my God, I can't believe so-and-so won American Idol. And I'm like, look, motherfucker, that has not aired on the West Coast yet. Do you forget? Do you forget? Somebody in one of the comments was mentioning that the end of Moby Dick was spoiled for them. And I'm like, I get it, but also there's maybe a assumption that when it comes to classics that have been out for an extended period of time, that maybe there is a cultural awareness of what happens in certain books like that. Pedro says, I got spoiled on the end of the Harry Potter 7th book on launch day. Pedro, I would have been fucking pissed. I would have been pissed. I would have been so mad. I would have been so mad. I would have been so mad about that. Like really and truly so mad about that. Okay, let's talk about the story going on around Lil Nas X, MSCHF, and the Satan shoe. Kaylin says, as a metalhead, I feel an appropriate meme is with James Franco with the rope around his head saying first time to Lil Nas fans. I haven't seen that meme yet, but thank you very much for sharing. So what is happening? MSCHF is something I had not heard. Look, I had not heard of MSCHF. I don't know who MSCHF is. I don't know about this company or this brand or whatever they are. But apparently MSCHF is a reseller that modifies shoes. I don't know if they modify other things and then drops them in limited amounts. I saw that they did a Birkenstock that was like Birkenstock, that was the model of like a Birkenstock sandal made with cut up Birkins, which I was like, oh, you have my attention to make the most, the most expensive sandal ever. So I'm just going to share my screen with some of the backstory on this that I was looking at, and then we'll go from there. Of course, I unshared my screen by accident as I was going to share my screen. So, because we're going to talk about this at some point, I'm sure, they also dropped a Jesus shoe that had holy water injected into it. This also appeared to be a Nike shoe that was modified with religion iconography, with a cross, a verse. This is what their website looks like. It's got the INRI on the back. Apparently was injected with holy water from the River Jordan. This is the Jesus shoe. So they sold a Jesus shoe a while back. There apparently were 24 of them that were sold, limited edition. The new one is now the Satan shoe. Let's see if we can find. Maybe we'll just put in Satan shoe. But it has taken over the news cycle, so it becomes a little harder to find. So these are Nike Air Max shoes. I'm an Adidas girl. I don't know. These are Nike Air Max shoes. This is clearly not the Nike website. And you can buy them through this, or you can buy them, I think, through their app. But this is clearly, you're not purchasing it from Nike. Just saying, that will come up as we talk about whether there will be confusion. Though from what I saw on Twitter, people were confused as to whether this was a Lil Nas X collab with Nike or with MSCHF. There seemed to be some genuine confusion about that. We'll talk about it. But also some confusion of like, wait, but are these real Nikes? Yes, the shoes are real Nikes. They've been modified by MSCHF and then sold. So the back's been modified. Apparently, they've been injected with human blood. One drop, they say. I read a news article where they said that the people at the company making the shoe used their own blood. I have questions about whether that actually constitutes as interstate sale of human and bodily fluids. I guess because they're saying it's just one drop that's mixed in with the paint in here, that it's maybe not an issue. But it was a question that I had because I could see somebody going that route on it, different than going after the holy water. So the Lil Nas X campaign with this, he also dropped a song that seemed to go along with this launch. And that's it. Again, clearly not the Nike website, clearly a very specific, like it's Satan.shoes, MSCHF X, Lil Nas X. Like to me, it seems apparent that these are not shoes being resold by Nike. So the internet went absolutely insane over this. Twitter went wild about, these shoes containing human blood and the marketing campaign with the whole thing. They sold out in under a minute. And then Nike dropped a lawsuit on this yesterday. So I like the CNN article. We've got some better images of the shoes, but they have, the pentagram attached. They have a pentagram in the bottom, an upside down cross on the toe pull or the tongue pull. And those are some of the modifications made to the shoe. On the Twitters, the confusion that I saw was people saying, wait, are they actually Nike shoes? Is this a Nike collaboration? Is this not a Nike? Are they not Nike shoes? So there was some confusion over that. I don't know if that is going to be enough because the sneakerheads who are going to want a limited edition pair of shoes like this, or the Lil Nas X fans, are going to know what and who MSCHF is and what their company does. So I think, initial thoughts, I think Nike felt so called out on Twitter that they had to drop a lawsuit. Remember, part of Trademark is protecting your trademark. So even if Nike is like, you know what, we might not get to the place where we win everything in this lawsuit, but we have a good faith belief that this is infringing on our trademark. And because of that, we are obligated to protect our trademark. And they're selling 600 of these shoes, and people are going nuts on Twitter and calling for us to be like canceled and boycotted and shit. So do we have to protect our brand reputation at this point or not? I think that MSCHF has been like MSCHF managed on the whole thing because this is brought it. Look, I am 40 plus years old. I am a mom of two. I have no idea who the fuck MSCHF was or what they did. And now I'm like, oh, all right, I see you. You made Birkins and you modified shoes. Fantastic. I am now aware. This has brought brand awareness to their brand. And I think part of outrage marketing is to bring that awareness. When you see governors tweeting at Lil Nas X over a music video, you're like, the world has lost their minds. Everyone's lost their, like, take a deep breath. Remember when everybody was angry about Madonna's Like a Prayer video? I do, because I'm old. This feels very similar to me. And outrage marketing is nothing new. Artists pushing boundaries is nothing new. People being offended, also nothing new. So I had no idea that any of this existed until today. So, it's the marketing has worked. And I think MSCHF is probably happy to take the lawsuit and fight it just because they're like, okay, well, people are now aware of who we are. So that's the backstory. Lil Nas X and MSCHF dropped this collab. The internet went nuts. Satan shoes were trending and Nike dropped a lawsuit yesterday. So grab a sip of whatever you're drinking and let's get into this lawsuit. I feel like that was a good backstory. If they're modified shoes, they're actually Nike shoes. They say they have a drop of human blood mixed into them. They sold out in under a minute. They were limited edition, individually numbered. There were 666 of them. They have devil iconography on them. It is what it is. Let's pull up this lawsuit. Lawsuit! One of these days, I'll get it so that when I do that, it just pulls up what I'm looking at, but I keep unsharing my screen by accident today. Okay. This was filed by Nike against MSCHF, not against Lil Nas X. So if you see people going, Lil Nas X is getting sued, he's not getting sued. Lil Nas X collaborated. He's not getting sued. He's not getting sued. Nike is suing MSCHF Product Studio in New York. This Eastern District of New York, this is the complaint. I found it funny. Look, all courts do it differently. This is the first one I've seen that didn't have blue or black at the top. I just thought it was hilarious that we've got all this like red and black imagery with these shoes. And then the e-filed header happens to be red for the Eastern District of New York. I thought it was very on brand for this discussion. So I thought it was funny. So let's get into the lawyer breakdown. I'm going to do questions at the end, but I saw somebody asking what's the cost of these shoes. These shoes sold for over $1,000 at resale. All right. Complaint 4, trademark infringement in violation of 15 USC 1114, false designation of origin, unfair competition, trademark dilution. Y'all are like, didn't we just talk about this with Taylor Swift? Yes. Common law, trademark infringement, and unfair competition. These are also some of the same causes of action that are alleged in the Haley Page lawsuit as well. So that's part of it. Plaintiff Nike Inc. for its complaint against defendant MSCHF Product Studio alleges as follows. Preliminary statement. MSCHF is currently taking orders for its No, they're not. That lasted for 1 minute. 1 whole minute. This was filed yesterday. So no, they're not still currently taking orders. That's over now. Oh, there's over 2,000 law nerds in here. Y'all go ahead and hit the thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and do that so that you get notified when we do stuff and stuff. Do the YouTube things. I trust you. All right. MSCHF is currently taking orders for shoes it refers to as Satan shoes, which are customized Nike Air Max 97. So that clears it up immediately. Customized Nike Air Max 97s. So they are Nike shoes that have been modified. That MSCHF has materially altered to prominently feature a satanic theme. This was done without Nike's approval. Well, yeah, they're being resold, Emily. Without Nike's approval or authorization, obvi. Nike is in no way connected with the project. I think this is like part lawsuit, part PR statement of Nike going, no, you guys, we're serious. Do not cancel us. We had nothing to do with these shoes. We had nothing to do with these shoes. Please understand. Don't be mad at us. We had nothing to do with the shoes. And I think lawsuits are going that way, that you're getting these lawsuits that are dual purpose. They are part PR, part actual lawsuit to protect their rights. Below is an image of genuine Nike Air Max 97 shoe next to MSCHF's custom Satan shoe. The material alterations include at least referring to the shoe as the Satan shoe. I mean, that's not an alteration. Calling it a Satan shoe is not an alteration. Calling it a Satan shoe is not an alteration. That's just their that's marketing. Nike. Come on. We know this. Adding red ink and human blood to the midsole. I mean, that's a modification. Adding red embroidered satanic themed detailing, adding a bronze pentagram to the laces, and adding a new sock liner. I think people are going to be very interested in the great description that Nike has given of the modifications. Here we go. Here's the difference. So this is the genuine Nike Air Max 97 shoe, which now looks positively boring next to the unauthorized Satan shoe. I feel like the red detailing is a nice touch. Let me know in the chat. Do you like the red? I mean, pentagrams and human blood aside, I like the red. I like the red. So they've injected, it seems like this part with paint. They've added the stitching here and there. They've added that little cross up there we saw earlier. They added some stuff onto the back, but that's what it is. Those are the modifications. Now, whether these modifications are significant or not, we will get into because it will matter. Nike has not and does not approve or authorize. We got it, Nike. You want nothing to do with the Satan shoe. Nike, we got it. Nothing. You want nothing to do with the Satan shoe. 10-4. You guys, seriously though, if Nike comes out with an Air Max 97 with red detailing in a few months, you have to tag me on Twitter. I will lose my mind because the red's kind of cool. And I feel like at some point Nike's just going to be like, fuck it. Let's just give them a red colorway. They seem to want it badly. I digress. Moreover, MSCHF and its unauthorized Satan shoes are likely to cause confusion and dilution and create an erroneous association between Satan and Nike. I'm fixing it for them. This is really the heart of the issue. Are people genuinely confused as to whether or not this is a Nike satanic collaboration with Lil Nas X and MSCHF? Or do people understand that MSCHF is a brand that takes an existing product and modifies it and resells it? Is there genuine brand confusion? And that's what trademark law is about. And we've talked about that before. The purpose of trademark law is to make sure that the consumer knows the source of goods, knows that the goods are designated from where they're coming from. So you know that these are Nike shoes if they're Nike shoes. So brand confusion is kind of the heart of trademark, which is we broke into all of that with the Taylor Swift lawsuit with the Evermore lawsuit against Taylor Swift. Like, are the Taylor Swifties going to confuse a theme park in Utah with a Taylor Swift album? This becomes a little closer comparison because are people going to confuse a genuine Nike shoe that's been modified as coming from Nike or not? So source of goods is going to be a thing. In fact, there is already evidence of significant confusion and dilution occurring in the marketplace. We'll see what they say, including calls to boycott Nike in response to the launch of MSCHF's Satan shoe based on the mistaken belief that Nike authorized or approved this product. I definitely saw a lot of that conversation on Twitter of people genuinely questioning it. And I think part of that is the marketing imagery. So this was a lot of the marketing on this with just Lil Nas X with the, with the funky contact lenses and the shoe, because this doesn't have MSCHF logoing in it anywhere. So I think when people were scrolling through quickly and seeing the imagery going on with these shoes, they were like, wait, this is a professional photo shoot that looks like it could be. So I think that's where the heart of this lies. And we'll go to Twitter later and see what we see. But let's see what the court's going to see, because what the court's going to see is what's in this document, not Emily tooling around on Twitter. Nike files this lawsuit to maintain control of its brand to let everyone know that we're not Satan worshipers, to protect its intellectual property, and to clear the confusion and dilution in the marketplace by setting the record straight. Yeah, see? PR. PR. We need to set the record straight. So even if we don't win, we have filed a lawsuit to say we are not affiliated with this. The Satan worshiping of it all. Their shoes. Nike has not and does not approve or authorize. How many times have they said it? Is this 3 now? Take a sip of your coffee or tea or water. Hydrate yourself every time Nike says that they do not approve or authorize MSCHF's customized Satan shoes. As an innovative brand that strives to push the envelope and do the right thing, Nike knows it may not please everyone all the time, but decisions about what products to put the swoosh on belong to Nike, not third parties like MSCHF. So Nike is saying, look, we may fuck up. We may stand behind or not stand behind or get canceled or whatever, but that's a decision for us at our corporate level. We get to decide what we do. We get to decide who we stand by, who we sponsor, who we collab with. You can't force us to make Satan shoes because that might not be where our brand stands on that. Nike requests that the court immediately and permanently stop MSCHF from fulfilling orders for the unauthorized Satan shoes. Stop right there. Thank you. All right. We've done it. We've stopped. We'll stop in the name of love next time they say stop. The parties. Nike is a corporation organized under the laws of Oregon. Yeah, we know. On information and belief, MSCHF Product Studio Inc. is a Delaware corporation with its principal place of business in Brooklyn, New York. Jurisdiction. This action, look, Nike was like, fuck it. You're in New York. We're just going to New York. We're not dicking around with jurisdiction. We're just going to come to you. This action arises under trademark and anti-dilution laws of the United States. So federal. The court may exercise personal jurisdiction in New York because they're in New York. Jurisdiction, we're just going to make it easy. Federal laws, and we're in the place where this company operates. Factual background, Nike. Nike's principal business activity is the design, development, and worldwide marketing and selling of athletic footwear, apparel, equipment, accessories, and services. What services? I'm curious, but I don't know Nike well enough to know what their services are, but I'm sure there's something. Nike is the largest seller of athletic footwear and apparel in the world. Very famous. Nike sells its products directly to consumers through Nike-owned retail stores and digital platforms, and to retail accounts and a mix of independent distributors, licensees, and sales representatives in virtually all countries around the world. Nike uses trademarks on nearly all of its products. Well, yeah, swoosh, swoosh. Having distinctive trademarks that are readily identifiable, swoosh, is an important factor in creating a market for Nike's products and in identifying Nike and its brands and in distinguishing Nike's products from others. Yeah, the swoosh is pretty damn famous. Thank you, Danny. I had no idea that Nike had services like workouts. It's very helpful to know. As a result of continuous and long-standing promotion, substantial sales, and consumer recognition, Nike's developed a powerful trademark rights, including the marks described in this complaint, collectively the Nike asserted marks. Nike maintains strict quality control standards. Well, you have to, because it's your brand. It has to. For products bearing its trademarks, genuine Nike products bearing the Nike asserted marks are inspected and approved by Nike prior to distribution and sale. Right, because they don't want to get canceled for having hairy lipsticks. Sorry, it was a joke. Y'all, the beauty fans get me. Nike also maintains strict control over use of its trademarks in connection with its products so that the company can maintain control over its related business reputation and goodwill. Nike, for example, carefully determines how many products bearing its trademarks are released, where the products are released, when the products are released, and how the products are released. Among Nike's most iconic assets are its Nike wordmark, so just the name Nike, and the swoosh design. Yes, iconic. It's one of the top most recognizable marks in the world, like that and the McDonald's M and a few others, but it is regularly one of the most recognizable. You show somebody anywhere in the world, you show somebody the swoosh and they're going to be like, oh, Nike. Yeah, cool. The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Ninth Circuit has referenced the Nike swoosh design as an example of a famous mark that has assumed an exalted status. Famous marks are a trademark thing. I'm sure the Ninth Circuit has said it. It is a famous mark. It's one of the most recognizable marks worldwide. Nobody's going to argue that the Nike swoosh is not a famous trademark. We're going to keep moving. Nike adopted the Nike wordmark and swoosh design in 1971, and since then has continuously promoted and sold products bearing those marks, including in connection with dozens of iconic products like the ones described in this complaint. Iconic. Nike has promoted and sold products bearing the Nike wordmark and swoosh design in various orientations and placements, including in combination. Okay, you sell a lot of shit with the swoosh on it. Nobody's going to argue that Nike is not a trademark. Nike doesn't have trademark rights. Nike's not a famous trademark. No one's going to argue any of that. Nike has sold billions of products with the swoop. Nike has spent tens of billions of dollars promoting Nike and the swoosh. Nike advertises and promotes its products bearing Nike and the swoosh. As a result, and this is all them establishing that they protect their mark and that there's value in their mark, which is why they're suing. As a result of Nike's promotional and sales efforts over the past nearly 50 years, the Nike wordmark and swoosh design are among the most famous, recognizable, and valuable trademarks in the world. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. This is different than when we talk about the argument in the Ringo video. In the Ringo video, I know it's very adulty. It's not for everybody, but in the Ringo marks, there's some argument about whether it's that famous and recognizable. And with the Taylor Swift stuff, it's like, these are distinguishable between this theme park and this album. But here, I can't see any lawyer writing that people would be confused that the swoosh belongs to Nike. The swoosh belongs to Nike. They're establishing it because they are required to. This is their foundation. I don't think any of this is going to be argued at all. When we get to the heart of what they're going to fight over, we'll get there. The Nike wordmark and swoosh design have received unsolicited publicity and praise among customers and in the media. For example, 2013 Nike swoosh design was ranked number 1 in Complex Magazine's list of top 50 most iconic brand logos of all time. Okay. Yay, Nike. Woohoo. You're famous. We know you're famous. Okay, we know you're famous. In addition, the Nike wordmark and swoosh design have received judicial and administrative recognition as famous, recognizable, and valuable trademarks. And that just goes to the fact that this trademark it's that big. It's like, I'm that bitch. When we get to famous trademarks, not all trademarks are famous trademarks, but when we get to the big ones like this that are worldwide recognizable, there's not going to be an argue over it. You're that bitch, Nike. We get it. Cool. You win. Yay. Nike has registered the Nike wordmark. They list it. Among others, Nike owns the right, title, and interest in U.S. trademark. Yeah. Okay. You've got you've got trademarks. Athletic shoes with or without spikes, footwear, retail footwear, apparel store services, retail store services. These all go to the word Nike. Nike also registered the swoosh design. I don't think there's going to be any argument about this, that the original swoosh, modified swoosh. Did you know there was a difference between the original swoosh and the modified swoosh? This is the 1984 version of the swoosh. Athletic shoes with or without spikes, retail footwear and apparel store services, footwear, retail footwear and apparel store services. So these are the different swooshes. And then Nike with the swoosh 1985. Yeah, you're registered. We're not going to argue that you're registered. Okay, good. Interesting stuff. MSCHF managed. We're going to say it over and over and over. I don't apologize. It's just going to happen. On March 26, 2021, a Twitter account focused on sneakers and popular culture published the following tweet announcing MSCHF's Satan shoes. Was it not from MSCHF's Twitter account? Did somebody else break this before MSCHF did? I'm curious. MSCHF X Lil Nas X Satan shoes, Nike Air Max 97, contain 60 cc's of ink and 1 drop of human blood. 666 pairs individually numbered, $1,018, March 29th, 2021, and then images of the shoes. Like, the box doesn't even look like a Nike box. This is going to get into whether or not the consumer is going to be confused. Like, is a sneakerhead confused that these are not being sold by Nike or not? And things will matter. Like, this box looks It's like Hermes orange, unless that's just the color and it's red. But the box doesn't look like a traditional Nike box. The shoes say Nas X and MSCHF on the back. You know, does this look like a Nike presentation for a shoe? I'm very curious about that tweet. We'll go try to find it after this. Following the publication of this tweet, numerous media outlets reported on the satanic theme of the shoes and that MSCHF, not Nike, MSCHF, would be releasing a limited edition of 666 individually numbered Satan shoes. The Satan shoes are scheduled for release on March 29th and sold out in 1 minute, according to CNN. On information and belief, MSCHF uses the website satan.shoes/product to promote its Satan shoes. Yes, we pulled that up together earlier today. So not being sold through Nike. According to this website, the body of the Satan shoe is a Nike Air Max 97. The website further states that each shoe contains 60 cc's of ink and 1 drop of human blood. Again, why isn't anyone going after the fact that this is like interstate distribution of bodily fluids? I'm not saying it would fly. I'm just saying it would be funny. According to media reports, the red ink and drop of literal human blood. Imagine being the corporate lawyer that's like, so there's literal human blood in the shoes. I have to write it into a lawsuit. How many times am I going to write literal human blood? Like, look, man, I do trademark work. Human blood doesn't really regularly come up. Somebody had an interesting day at work getting to do this. The red ink and drop of literal human blood is incorporated into the sole of each shoe. Making changes to the midsole may pose safety risks for consumers. So adding the red paint in here might somehow change the Nike's just clutching its pearls at this point, but okay. I get it. It's their brand. There has been a lot of backlash over it. I get it, but it is literal human blood. This is going into my list of like lawsuit shit that makes me laugh out loud. Monuments to the gods of speculation, murderous conspiracy, and literal human blood. We need to create like a law nerds fill in the blank for this. What were those called? The word searches where you filled in the blank, like verb, adverb, adjective, noun. We need one of those. Safety risks. Okay, whatever. According to the website, we're now citing Snopes. Cool. Mad Libs. Yes, thank you, chat. You're the best. We need a Mad Libs. We need like the lawsuits we've covered, Mad Libs version. Thank you, guys. We need to make that happen. Law nerds, Mad Libs. According to the website Snopes.com, a representative of MSCHF told Snopes in an email, quote, that MSCHF buys the shoes from Nike. You're allowed to do that. Then MSCHF artists make their own creative modifications before selling them. You're allowed to do that. Indeed, the pictures of the customized Satan shoes on MSCHF's webpage, reproduced below, show numerous significant alterations from genuine Nike Air Max 97 shoes. Okay, well, here's the problem. Okay, here's the shoe. Here's the issue. I feel like if the more I leave these up, the more y'all are going to be sad you didn't get a pair of these shoes. Here's the issue. If the modifications are so significant, is there going to be consumer confusion? But also, if the modifications weren't so significant, would it be an issue? Like they're saying, okay, maybe these modifications are so significant that they're essentially using our trademark for a shoe that's not even recognizable as our own. But if they're so significant, then isn't it less likely that there's consumer confusion because the modifications are so significant? I think it's going to be hard to argue this both ways. Hard to argue it both ways with it. So it's either so significant, but if it is so significant, then is there a likelihood of confusion? They're going to say it's so significant that it essentially isn't a Nike shoe anymore, and they're misappropriating the trademark is where we're going to get to. Oh, good. We've got all the pictures. All right. So yay. Nike shoe, Nike shoe. For example, the side of the shoe features red embroidery that states Luke 10:18. The New International Version translation of the Bible verse at Luke 10. Oh, we've quoted the Bible. Fantastic. States, quote, he replied, I saw Satan fall like lightning from heaven. I mean, we know they're Satan shoes, but now the court doesn't have to go to the Bible and look it up and be curious. I like that they've just answered the questions for us. Also embroidered in red on the side of the shoe is number 6-666. The numbers 6 and 666 are commonly associated with Satan. A circular pendant with a pentagram is attached to the laces of each shoe. A pentagram appears on the inside sole of the heel. Oh yeah, it does, right in there. But what does it say? Does it say mischief? It looks like it says mischief in there. I want it to say mischief managed, but I get it. It probably says Nas X, but I can't tell. Yeah, NASZ X. So mischief Nas X. That makes sense. Again, what it doesn't say in here is Nike. Furthermore, the tab at the top of the tongue of the shoe depicts a red inverted cross. In popular culture and film, the inverted cross is often associated with Satanism or demonic activity. Okay. Or exorcisms, sometimes exorcisms. But I guess they're just trying to hammer home the point. Like, it doesn't matter why it's modified. I guess it does. They're going to argue that the modifications being so satanic could actually damage the brand reputation, I think is the direction that they're going with that. As can be seen from the back view of the sole, the left shoe displays the letters mischief and the right shoe displays the letters Lil Nas X, a rap artist who apparently collaborated with Mischief on the Satan shoes. The air bladder in the sole of the shoe appears to be filled with a red liquid. A genuine Nike Air Max 97 shoe does not contain any of these customized features. Yes, we saw it's very boring compared to these. No shade. It's minimal. It's sleek. Let's go with it's sleek compared to these. Despite these drastic alterations, again, if they're so drastic, is it less confusing to consumers because it's such a drastic alteration that consumers aren't confused? They're like, we know. Despite these drastic alterations, the Satan shoes still prominently display the Nike swoosh logo. That's true. At the top and tongue and along the sides. In the short time since the announcement of the shoes, Nike has suffered significant harm to its goodwill. I'll be interested as to how they calculate that down the road, including among customers who believe that Nike is endorsing Satanism. But do they really? I mean, even if Nike collabed, would y'all be like, this is a questionable collaboration? Like, what are we really saying here? But do you really? I mean, maybe people do. Maybe people really do believe that Nike is endorsing Satanism. I don't know. Is it that deep? Is it that deep, you guys? Apparently it is. Examples of online consumer commentary are reproduced below. Is this Facebook? Are they citing Facebook? Really? Go to Twitter. There's plenty of rage on Twitter. Maybe this is Twitter. This is Twitter. This looks like Facebook. Did they modify the images out to protect the innocent here? Like, what is happening with all of these images? Never buying a Nike shoe again. Bunch of hypocrites. Crazy. They need Jesus. But are these comments under an article? Like, I get that the time is from March 26th, and that's when this dropped. But are these comments under an article? Because by themselves, they're not tied to the thing. This is terrible. Won't buy Nike again. You are banned. Who's banned? Is Nike? Okay. No more Nike for anyone in my family. I'm appalled. Words can't describe the amount of disgust and disbelief. I guess people truly are mad on Facebook. This is truly happening. Jesus, please save us. Never supporting or buying Nike again. And look, I'm not trying to make fun of people who are mad. I don't know. It's not that deep to me but I guess if I was really worried that Nike was Satan worshiping and that bothered the shit out of me, I'd be like, okay, we're just not going to buy Nikes. I don't know if I'd have to go on Facebook about it, so this is from March 26th, but what if these are comments under a post about the shoe, why isn't there a post about the shoe? Because people have been mad at Nike before. People were mad at Nike over Colin Kaepernick, and people have been mad at Nike over other stuff. I just don't understand the need to take this kind of outrage to social media, but I just don't understand the outrage here. But if people are mad, I get that they're mad, but I'm trying to understand why you're mad, but it's not really Nike doing it. And it takes like 7 seconds to determine it's not Nike that put this shoe out. Like literally 7 seconds to be like, oh, somebody's modifying Nike shoes. This is where the critical thinking part comes in. We've talked about critical thinking. So we talked about critical thinking. All right. I'm appalled. Words can't describe the amount of disgust and disbelief that's truly happening. Jesus, please save us. Jesus got his own pair of these shoes too. Fair play. Never supporting or buying Nike again. I will never wear another pair of Nike. I'm throwing all the ones I have now. What a disgrace. This is pure evil. Again, it would take 7 seconds to realize these are a collab. But there was more out. I saw more genuine confusion on Twitter. And I did see genuine confusion on Twitter of people saying, is this a Nike collaboration or not? And I think that those statements would be helpful here. I also think the lawyers should have included the comments that these were under. Because if these are comments under, like, where are the comments under this post? Where is there outrage under this post from March 26th? Show me the comments under this post, but this post needs to be included. Like if this post goes up and people are like, ban Nike, cancel Nike, fuck Nike, I'm never buying Nike again. Bleh. Then it makes more sense. But these are kind of disembodied tweets, which is confusing. Nike will no longer have to worry about me purchasing anything else from them. But what day is this from? These... Because I've seen plenty of confusion, but it's not this. Nike will no longer have to worry about me purchasing anything else from them. People just like to be mad at this point. Like people really just want to be mad. Look, pray for Nike if you want to pray for Nike. Nike didn't make this collab. People just want to be mad about something. There's just so much anger. Nike will no longer have to worry about me purchasing anything else from them. Well, me neither, because Nike will never have to worry about me purchasing from them because my feet are wide and I wear Adidas. Nike make their shoes narrow. I feel discriminated against. I'm angry. Where are the people with wide feet? Where's our rage? Let's take to Twitter. I'm outraged. My feet are wide. Nike's shoes are pretty narrow. Super mad. I'm super fucking mad about it. Tell them the righteous people in the back said, thank you for allowing us to see who they really are. The righteous people in the back, just look, you're allowed to be righteous. You can love Jesus all you want. That is totally fine. But critical thinking needs to happen. This is sickening. How is Nike not involved when there's a Nike symbol on the shoe? Modify. Okay, I'm not fighting with people on Twitter. I'm not fighting with the comments section in this lawsuit right now. I'm sorry. I forgot that I didn't have to explain to people why they needed to just look a little further into this. Nike should be canceled for this. No more Nike for me. Go ahead and cancel Nike if you want to. I mean, the joke's on you at this point. No more Air Force Ones. No, that's not what they're called. Anyway, Again, I wear these. I don't know. As shown above, MSCHF is deceiving customers. That's not what that shows. God, that's not what that shows. As shown above, people are outraged on Twitter because Twitter. As shown above, people get mad over shit. As shown above, people have false outrage. As shown above, people have righteous outrage because they're confused. None of what's shown above is that MSCHF has done anything to deceive consumers. That's not what's shown above. What's shown above is that people get mad about shit on social media that may or may not be related because this doesn't even have a date and none of it shows the post that it's under, but all right. This isn't it. MSCHF is deceiving customers into believing that Nike manufactures or approves of Satan shoes. No, people didn't think before they tweeted. They saw a headline and they got mad and didn't actually look to this was a collab. Okay. And consumers' belief that the Satan shoes are genuine Nike products is causing consumers to never want to purchase any Nike products again in the future. I don't think MSCHF is doing that. I think people don't read. MSCHF's customized Satan shoes, however, are not genuine Nike products, but you said that they are. Here's why you said that they are. You said that they bought Nike shoes and then they modified them. That means that the shoes are Nike products that are modified. Just like I can buy a car and modify it. Just like I can buy a purse and paint it and resell it, or shoes and dip it and resell. Okay. Nike did not manufacture or inspect the Satan shoes. That's probably accurate. And Nike did not authorize MSCHF to make, promote, advertise, market, or sell the Satan shoes. I imagine that that's also accurate, but also they don't need your approval. They said that they purchased them legitimately at retail. Like they bought them at retail, not wholesale. They bought them at retail and modified them. While on information or belief, this should be an episode of South Park. This absolutely needs to be an episode of South Park. Well, on information and belief, the Satan shoes contain materials derived from genuine Nike products. MSCHF has customized them in such a manner that they constitute new, unauthorized products. Now look, the shoe is still a shoe. I do not think the argument that these constitute a new, unauthorized product is going to fly. Sometimes this does happen. Like if you have a Vuitton bag and it gets cut down into something that competes with Vuitton. This happened with watch straps a while back. Cut down the old Vuitton bags, make them into like watch straps, but it competes with the fact that Vuitton also sells watch straps. So that might be an entirely new product. You've cut a purse into a watch strap that might then be an unauthorized product. But even then, often brands do not fight that kind of modification unless it competes with something they directly sell, because you are allowed to customize something, which is why I don't think you saw Birkin and Birkenstock going nuts over the Birkin stock that MSCHF already made, where they cut down purses and turned those purses into shoes, because you are allowed to modify something, but they're saying, yes, but you're using our swoop on them, and that means it looks like it's ours. I don't think this argument that they constitute new products is going to fly. I mean, it's a modified shoe. Is that an entirely new product? It's a shoe. I don't think that's going to fly. I get why they're making the argument. I get why they have to make that argument to say it's something entirely new, and then they've put our logo on something entirely new. Therefore, they cannot do it, but I don't think it's going to fly. MSCHF has attempted to capitalize on Nike's valuable reputation and customer goodwill by using the Nike asserted marks, swoop, or confusingly similar marks in a no, it's your mark. It's your shoe. It's your mark that came from your factory because they bought it at retail. Likely to cause consumers and potential customers to believe that MSCHF Satan shoes are associated with Nike, which they are not. Well, yes, clearly some people, according to the Twitters, believe that. And I understand the confusion based on the marketing, but also they didn't share in this any of the marketing campaign. They shared these disembodied Facebook comments and tweets instead of sharing, the images of Lil Nas X holding the shoe with no other identifying mark, which would have been a better argument. Just show the pictures of Nas X holding the shoe like this and saying, look, this doesn't indicate it's not associated with Nike in any way. There's nothing in this that says it's from MSCHF. So use the marketing materials instead of using disembodied tweets. Just my 2 cents, but what do I know? I'm just a YouTube lawyer. I'm teasing. After 15 years of law, I would have used the marketing and said, look, this marketing doesn't show anything to indicate this is not a collab between Nike and Lil Nas X. MSCHF has attempted to capitalize. We got that. Likely to cause consumers and potential customers to believe that MSCHF Satan shoes are associated with Nike when they are not. Look, the marketing materials would have better served in this argument, I think. By virtue of the acts complained of herein, MSCHF has created a likelihood of injury to Nike's business reputation and goodwill, caused a likelihood of consumer confusion, mistake, and deception as to the source of origin. Deception as to the source of origin means that it's another way of saying people think that it's a Nike product, and people aren't sure if it's a Nike product. And I think there's a lot of people that thought that this was a Lil Nas X collab with Nike. And I don't think that's an unreasonable belief based on the marketing that we've seen and based on Twitter. I think the outrage needed to have context, but I think the marketing materials are a stronger argument here, and that Nike could have said, look, these are the marketing images. Because when you go to the marketing images, these are the marketing images on this shoe. Most of this does not, the kittens are meowing outside the office. They're like, what is happening? This doesn't indicate to me, the marketing doesn't show anything that says MSCHF except the box. When it's just this side marketing, none of this says MSCHF on it. Like the back of the shoe says it. So maybe if they had used the marketing materials, and maybe they'll argue that down the road, because these marketing materials don't indicate to me, oh no, CNN, I don't want your article. These marketing materials don't say anything about MSCHF. They don't show the back of the shoe with MSCHF. So maybe the marketing, this doesn't even show the insole that had the different logo in it. This one shows the insole with the different logo. So I think these marketing materials are actually a better argument. We'll have to go look up this tweet in a minute and see if they could have used stuff underneath that tweet in this lawsuit and play along with, could they have done it better? This indicates maybe it's not Nike because it says MSCHF and Lil Nas X, but some of the other marketing materials, I've said it 7 times now, I think are a stronger argument. We all know what I think. Unless stopped in the name of love. All right. Unless stopped, MSCHF's going to manage to destroy Nike's reputation. It's such a missed opportunity. Look, corporate lawyers, for the love of Jesus and Harry Potter, in one of these filings, you have to say, unless stop, MSCHF will manage, or MSCHF's managed to ruin Nike's reputation. MSCHF's managed to confuse consumers as to the source and origin of this shoe. It is such a missed opportunity. Please, lawyers, have a sense of humor. All right. Unless stopped, MSCHF's Satan shoes and MSCHF's use of Nike's assertive marks will continue to cause confusion in the marketplace, including but not limited to initial interest confusion, post-sale confusion. Nobody's going to be confused after they spend $1,000 on these shoes that they didn't buy them from a Nike website. No, sir. No, sir. You have to, the MSCHF site, okay. No, there's not going to be post-sale confusion. This is already the resale market. Confusion in the secondary sneaker markets. They already know that it's okay. I don't agree with those arguments at all. And dilution by blurring and tarnishment. MSCHF's acts complained of herein are willful and deliberate. I mean, they made the shoe. I don't think they're going to argue they didn't make the shoe. MSCHF's acts complained of herein have caused damage to Nike in an amount to be determined at trial. We don't know how bad it is yet. And such damages will continue to increase unless MSCHF's MSCHF is primarily and permanently enjoined. Stop it. Are they asking for an injunction? We'll go down and look and see if they're asking for an injunction. Preliminarily and permanently enjoined. MSCHF's acts complained of herein have caused Nike to suffer irreparable injury to its business. Plaintiff will suffer substantial loss of goodwill and reputation unless and until MSCHF is preliminary and permanently enjoined. Are they asking for an injunction? We talked about injunctions in the Haley Page coverage. Trademark infringement. Nike repeats and alleges, so all the shit above plus MSCHF has knowingly used and continues to use in commerce without Nike's permission and authorization, Nike's marks in connection with products manufactured, advertised, promoted, and sold in the US, including the Satan shoes. MSCHF has used Nike's assertive marks with the knowledge of and intent to call to mind and create a likelihood of confusion with regard to and trade off of Nike's assertive marks. Like Nike's popular, so they made these with Nike shoes to raise the image of these shoes because they are also Nike shoes. MSCHF's marks constitute infringement, likely to confuse and mislead and deceive, likely to cause such people to believe in error that MSCHF Satan shoes are authorized, sponsored, approved of. Nike has no control over the nature and quality of the shoes because they didn't get to inspect them before sale and things like that. Nike's reputation and goodwill will be damaged. I guess we'll see. I mean, we'll see if people genuinely just see the headline and don't rectify the confusion. Maybe there are some that were like, I will never buy it again. I don't. And that is a lot of the purpose of filing this lawsuit, because then the news cycle is like Nike sues. And so in your head, if you just see the tagline or the headline, you're like, oh, well, Nike's suing. They must not have authorized those. So this, I think, is a lot of a move to protect their brand reputation. All right. As a direct and proximate result of MSCHF's, in my head, I just can't with the MSCHF man. Of MSCHF's wrongful act, Nike continues to suffer. Nike is further entitled to recover actual damages Nike has sustained and is sustaining or is likely to sustain as a result of the wrongful acts. I guess we'll see if their sales change. MSCHF's use of Nike's asserted marks or confusingly similar marks has been intentional and willful. MSCHF's bad faith is evidenced at least by the similarity of the marks on the... It's a Nike shoe. It is your actual mark. False designation of origin, stating essentially that people are going to think they're buying a Nike collab when they're not, when they're buying a MSCHF collab. But again, you can't just go buy them through Nike.com. But would you know that if you're buying them on eBay, for example? So that's part of what that is. Let's see if there's anything other than Nike's entitled to recover actual damages, confusingly similar, trademark dilution. Hey, we have to protect our trademark, and you're hurting our trademark by doing shit that we didn't authorize with our trademark. MSCHF's use of Nike's asserted marks confusingly similar. Nike has suffered, continues to suffer, same allegations. Common law trademark infringement, unfair competition. Nike was the first to use the Nike asserted marks as a result of Nike's continuous promotion and sales of the marks for many decades. Nike's marks have become widely known. Have been identified in the public mind as the manufacturer of products to which the Nike marks are applied. So they're getting into arguing, look, when people see the swoop in something like this, they assume that we are connected to it. And that is enough to cause brand confusion and reputational damage because of the controversial, if you will, nature of the design. That reasserts, all right, prayer for relief, the shit we're asking for. A judgment and order that MSCHF has willfully, 1, infringed Nike's asserted marks, 2, used false designations of origin, 3, or C, diluted at least the Nike asserted marks, D, violation of Nike's common law, a judgment and order enjoining MSCHF and MSCHF's affiliates, agents, everybody and their mom from manufacturing, transporting, promoting. Like, you can't sell these and you can't send them out if you've already sold them. Manufacturing, transporting, promoting, or selling any products under Nike's asserted marks or marks. So this is like the future stuff. Don't do it again. Not just limited to the Satan shoes, including but not limited to Satan shoes. Like, stop modifying our fucking shoes. Implying Nike's approval, endorsement, or sponsorship of. I would like to see their evidence of what has implied that. I don't see anything that has implied it. I think the consumers are making the connection in their minds, which is a stronger argument. I don't think, well, we'll see. I don't think that I've seen anything where I would look at what MSCHF's doing and be like, oh, you've implied it. You're saying that these are a Nike collab. I haven't seen that. Engaging in any act that is likely to dilute the distinctive quality of the marks, representing or implying that MSCHF is in any way sponsored by. I mean, these are what they're asking for in the future. Knowingly assisting, inducing, aiding, or abetting any other person or business from engaging or performing. So you can't just have somebody else make them if you're not going to make them. An order that Nike is the exclusive owner of the Nike asserted marks. I mean, that's obvious, though. We know this. An order that MSCHF has that MSCHF be required to deliver to Nike for destruction any and all shoes, apparel, files, packaging, printed graphics, promotional materials, business cards, signs, labels, advertisements, flyers, circulars, and any other items in their possession, custody, or control bearing Nike's asserted marks. We want to burn it. Okay. Give it all to us so we can destroy it. I haven't seen them asking for an injunction yet. Order granting an award of damages suffered by Nike according to proof at trial, an order that MSCHF account to Nike for any and all profits earned as a result. So they want to disgorge the profits. An award of 3 times the amount of compensatory damages and increased profits. An award of statutory damages. An award granting punitive damages for the willful and wanton nature. An order granting prejudgment interest. So if they win at the end, they get interest for the time that this drags on. An order granting an award of Nike's cost, expenses, and attorney's fees. I mean, if they win on some of these, maybe. They didn't ask for an injunction, though. Well, why not just... You say you want them enjoined from doing this. Why not just ask for an injunction now? Probably because they think they might lose on an injunction. Speculation from Emily. Because they didn't ask for an injunction. Interesting. So they're trying to essentially stop MSCHF from doing this going forward and to disengorge them of profits from the Satan shoes and to not let the Satan shoes go out, even though they've already sold out. We're going to get to questions in just a second. Initial thoughts. They're trying to argue it both ways that like these have been so modified that they're now essentially almost counterfeit goods because they've been changed so much that they bear the Nike mark, but they're not a Nike shoe. I don't think that argument's going to fly. It's clearly still a Nike shoe. And I don't think they're so substantially modified. But I also think it's a better argument that, hey, they're a modified Nike shoe that's causing brand reputation. But I don't know if that's going to be enough to fly either with this, because you're allowed to resell stuff and you're allowed to modify stuff. So is there genuine consumer confusion is what this is going to come down to. I have seen quite a lot of genuine confusion on Twitter. It's just going to break down to, is that actually damaging to Nike, and will Nike be damaged? Nike could have put more into this complaint, I think. I mean, it's really clear and easy to read, but these tweets and stuff are just floating in nowhere. I think there's more they could have done with regard to that, because I think there's more confusion. I get that people are outraged. In that I see that people are outraged. I just don't quite understand other than like, okay, well, if Nike did this, then I won't be buying Nikes, but Nike didn't do this. So I think the brand confusion is an interesting argument. We'll see. We'll see what we get. I think a lot of this is Nike trying to say, look, we swear we need the media to put the headlines out that we're suing over this so that y'all stop being confused about it. But if people would have looked at the story for 7 seconds, they would have seen that this was not Nike putting this out, that this was a collab, but people didn't. So I am going to get to questions. We're going to just get to questions. We've been talking for like an hour and 12 minutes about this. We've gone through the whole thing. Let's get to your questions. Go ahead and put them in the chat with a question. We pulled up the Jesus shoe earlier. So this is the Satan shoe. Let's just pull up the Jesus shoe for reference. No, Nike didn't sue over that. MSCHF. Where's the Jesus shoe? So there wasn't lawsuit over the Jesus shoe. And I pulled this up earlier in the conversation as well. These were injected with holy water. They were apparently $3,000. These, I was trying to pull up the one from the MSCHF website. Hold on. These were 24 that sold, not 600. That might have some difference. If anyone says, well, why didn't you sue over the Jesus shoe? It was a smaller run. There wasn't the backlash, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, no, that's the same article. That's not helpful. Where is the... We pulled it up on their website earlier in the show, and now I can't find it. But here we go. Again, the things that are going to go against Nike in this is that, okay, this is clear I'm not buying this from Nike.com, right? So the method of purchase isn't confusing, and this is the same for the other one as well. People are going to argue, well, they didn't sue over this one. Why not? Is that because they're pro-Jesus and anti-Satan? Look, I think it's because they didn't receive backlash on this one, so there was no worry that their reputation was going to be tarnished with regard to the Jesus shoe. But there is quite a lot of backlash with regard to the Satan shoe. The propriety or the morality of all of that aside, the brand reputation stems on whether people think that the brand has done something that is out of character or out of line with the brand values. And so there wasn't backlash over that. So there's really no need to sue over that to protect the brand reputation. Also, if there's no backlash over that, then maybe there's not as much potential brand confusion, right? There's no backlash over it. People aren't going, how could you do this, Nike? Because with the smaller run, it seemed that was, well, it didn't hit the media news cycle. So it was not, as widely discussed, and that might be part of the problem as well. So I'm going to get into your questions. I want to pull up that original tweet and see what the comments under it say to see if they could have, why didn't they pull that tweet? Why wasn't that tweet pulled? The Saint tweet. Let's see if we can just pull it up. Aha, we can. Look, I technologied. This is that original tweet. It looks like there are 33,000 retweets, 6,000 comments. MSCHF X Lil Nas X Satan shoes. Again, it doesn't say anything about Nike. It talks about the shoes. It shows, this is where I think they should have put more of this imagery in this lawsuit because, maybe saying, look, the advertisement doesn't make it clear. Then MSCHF's going to argue, but it says our fucking name. But the box, not a Nike box. Have you ever gotten a Nike box like this? Again, the box looks Hermes orange to me in these photos. But even down here where the sale label is not a Nike sale label. And I think all of those things will go against this consumer confusion. And we talked about this with regard to the Taylor Swift theme park. Is Taylor Swift's audience going to get confused with a theme park? Unlikely. And I think MSCHF's argument here is, look, none of this looks like it's coming from Nike. The packaging doesn't look like it's coming from Nike. It says MSCHF on it. The box doesn't look like it's coming from Nike. There isn't likelihood of confusion. We've changed it enough that it's clear it's not coming from Nike versus, oh, they've changed it so much, it's now infringing on our trademark. Well, if you changed it so much, then it's maybe it's clear it's not coming from Nike. So some of you are saying that Nike does use the orange box. So if the box looks close, it becomes a stronger argument for Nike, right? Which is fine. So let's look at some of the comments. And not to call anyone out on Twitter, because we don't call people out and we don't talk shit about the people. I'm just curious as to if people are in these comments calling for the boycott of Nike and why Nike's lawyers didn't choose to use those comments and say, look, we posted this tweet earlier in the lawsuit. Here's the comments under this tweet that say that people are canceling Nike. I personally think the shoe looks pretty good. Okay. Imagine caring this much about shoes. I hope Nike burns to the ground and goes bankrupt over this. Okay, well, there's one from Pastor Greg Locke. Pastor Locke is confused. So these are the types of tweets that one would think, look, this marketing came out, and then there are these tweets saying things like, I hope Nike burns to the ground and goes bankrupt over this. First, they use massive amounts of child slaves, and now they openly promote Satanism. Disgusting. Okay, but maybe they don't want to use that tweet because it calls out child labor stuff. Maybe that's what it is. Trash. This is the, no, we're not. They could have used this in the lawsuit. Nike, why collaborate? So disrespectful. So again, is this a Nike collaboration? Wait, serious question. Whose blood is in the significance and symbolism of the blood? Are you kidding me? I don't know if that goes directly to Nike. This is going to Lil Nas X. This is absolutely disgusting. I pray for people who have started conforming to this evil and are based. Okay, well, that has nothing to do with Nike. To the people who are trying to cancel this, why? Where? No human blood, as that would be an ideal and hazmat. So I don't know who's saying these are coming out, but if they do, they will not have any human blood. They say they have human blood. The articles say they have actual human blood in them. But if I were Nike's attorneys, I would have gone through this and found the ones that relate directly to Nike under that and said, look, this is underneath the advertisement. And this is people calling for Nike to go bankrupt, to burn, and asking why they're collabing and showing that they're confused. That's what I would have done. Liz, are you serious? Damn, Nike. Now I got to go and replace all my gear. No way. I back this garbage. These types of tweets, and it's not about agreeing with these tweets or not. I should have made that bigger so you could see it. It's not about agreeing with these tweets or not, but these tweets under this is the tweet that they used in the lawsuit. Just use the responses for that. There's plenty of them showing that people are confused. I don't know if it'll fly. I think there's some issues with the human blood, but we'll see. They're saying it's 1 drop of human blood mixed with paint, which is probably not enough human blood to actually raise an issue. But I was confused. There's articles online that say that the blood is from the people at MSCHF, that they poked their fingers themselves and mixed it in with the paint. So, good question. I saw the question, what is an injunction? So an injunction is going to be Nike asking the court to make them stop selling these at all. Like, stop it. You can't sell them. Everything's frozen. And I talk about that a lot in the Haley Page suit because they asked for that preliminary injunction and restraining order from her using her Instagram accounts. And the court granted the injunction and stopped her from doing that. So that is an option. Let me try to get to some more questions. I'm looking for them to say question at the front because I know some of you guys are just having conversations with each other, which is fine. So drop questions with question. So let me see. I'm still looking for questions. Yeah, I think it is a non-issue. I thought somebody would have made it, but that's it. Octo, the box looks Nike colored black and orange. Well, thank you, Octo. See, once again, your girl buys Adidas and often at the outlet because they can be expensive too. But I definitely think it looks like the Hermes box. But thank you for that. So it does look like the Nike box. All right, fair enough. But it definitely isn't the Nike website. But I think their argument with the secondary market is like if you went to eBay to buy these I think these are already in the secondary market because they're on MSCHF's website. But if you went to eBay or, I don't know, Poshmark or whatever, would you be confused in that context if these were a Nike collab or not? So, question, do you think this is going to come down to the brand recognition of the swoosh? I think that this is going to come down to consumer confusion. So with the swoosh being on it, because that's the most recognizable thing on the shoe, is the imagery that's being shown, is the modification so much that it's causing confusion, or is it so much that it's not causing confusion? Or has it been modified so much that it's now essentially a counterfeit good because it's been modified beyond just a small change? And I don't think that will necessarily fly. I don't think the so modified it's a new good will fly. I think it's whether there is actual confusion is what this is all going to come down to. And yeah, there might not be enough tweets calling for Nike to be canceled, in which case this is more of a publicity statement, less of a lawsuit. But if Nike just put out a statement saying, we're not involved in that, it wouldn't gain the media traction that suing them would gain. Am I saying this is for am I saying this is a improper lawsuit? No, because Nike is obligated to protect their brand. We have seen some evidence of brand confusion online. Might not be enough to win a lawsuit, but it's a dual purpose lawsuit, I think. This very much feels like a lawsuit just to get the title "We didn't do it" out there. I think so too. I don't know if this is going to fly. It'll be really interesting to see what the court does with this, or to see if the court dismisses it, if the court asks for discovery on it, if there is a motion to dismiss, or if there's just an answer to the lawsuit from MSCHF going, yeah, and Yes, we modified the shoe. We're allowed to modify the shoe. We're not promoting that it's a Nike shoe. Nowhere in the resale does it say Nike. The website doesn't say Nike. Nothing says Nike on it. The shoe is a Nike that we purchased and we modified, and you're allowed to do that. So that's what it is. You guys are all saying that the Church of Satan commented. Did they comment on these tweets or did they comment separately? I'll Google it. I hear the kitties going nuts out there. On Nike's website, you can customize shoes. So is it a problem due to the fact that you might be able to get this design on their own site? Jalen, that's a really great question. I didn't know you could customize your own shoes on Nike's site. I don't know if that'll come up. Nike didn't raise that argument at all because, again, you're allowed to buy goods and modify them and sell them. There are some boundaries to that. Again, when I gave the example of like cutting things, sometimes that can be an issue. But Nike is really going after the brand reputation. What will come up? It depends on what the defenses and arguments of mischief are that Nike will then argue. So it just depends. All right, let's go to some more questions. Question, is fair use just for video content? Can it be transferred to other forms of media art? Fair use can be other things than just video or music. It can also be literature and things like that. So would the shoes fall under fair use? No. No. But again, they purchase them. And when you purchase something, you can modify it and resell it. It's a good question, though. I don't think they should have used the I think by check, you're saying swoosh. They could have come up with something that made more sense with the shoe design. But Nike's going to say they wanted the swoosh because that's part of what makes it spicy. That's part of what makes it desired, because Nike has become fairly big within the sneaker community. And I don't know if it's just that I'm more aware of it now, but Nikes have definitely, is it the TikTokers that did it? Did Gen Z do this? That Nike has become really cool and desirable again, where for a while they weren't. This is my IP nerd's dream. This is a fun little lawsuit. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's not going to be hugely consequential, I don't think, for either of these brands. It'll be interesting to see if the court is like, this is fucking stupid, get out. We're granting a motion to dismiss, or if the court's going to be like, Nike, show me your damage. What is the actual damage here? Because again, showing brand confusion is going to have to show some damage, and it'll be interesting to see that. They kept the logo. Nike's entitled to sue. So what if they didn't sue the Saint shoe? Lucy, some people are saying if they didn't sue over the one, does it show that they weren't protecting their trademark because they didn't sue over that one versus suing over this one? That's some of the conversation around that. I don't think it will matter so much. So let me keep getting to questions. And again, I'm looking for them to say question, because I don't want to just pull up y'all having conversation with each other. Question, can Nike cite their case in 2006 against Customizer? I don't know that case. In Newport for copyright infringement was successful and all the shoes were destroyed. Laura, I don't know. It's going to be in a different court, and I would have to look at that case to see what the issue, like what issue it turned on. But if they're not in the same courts and they're not within the same authority, they might use the same arguments internally if the situations are similar. But I'm not familiar with their 2006 case. And if it was in Newport, California, the law is not going to, like, the law might not overlap. So that might be the Ninth Circuit case that they cited, though. No, because the Ninth Circuit case that they cited had a different name. Let me pull up the case that they cited. The Ninth Circuit case calling it a famous mark was here. I'm just going to pull it up so we can all see together. And I'll look at their 2006 case before we talk about this for the next time. We're going to control F myself. See, they should have just used the comments from this. Let's control F. No, why won't you control F me? Gosh. Nope, it won't let me search. There we go. My keyboard's being frisky with me today. What was I looking for? Ninth Circuit. No, did they spell it out? That's so annoying. Don't do that. Frisky keyboard. Why are we having tech issues? Why are we having tech issues? Watch my keyboard be almost dead. Which is probably what it is, and it needs batteries, which is super, super embarrassing when you're on live with over 2,000 people. Hi, y'all. I think my keyboard's dying and it won't type. Oh, this was Automotive Gold versus Volkswagen. So I wonder if I'm assuming that this was a different case wherein they were using Nike as the example for it being a famous mark. But I'll definitely take a look if there's another Nike case before we do this again. All right. Let's see. I always appreciate a play on words. Can the sole fact that they have the swoosh and it causes brand misrecognition be enough to make Nike's case? They would have to show that it's causing the consumer confusion. Can it be enough? Yes, it can be enough. They have to show that it's brand confusion. It's going to, again, they're arguing that it's so modified that it's not just brand confusion, that it's so modified that it's actually infringement because they're essentially a counterfeit good because it's that modified. So saying it's so modified versus saying it's not but people think it's ours is a hard juxtaposition for me, because it's like, well, if it's so modified, then maybe it's not causing brand confusion because it's so substantially modified. So which is it? It's so substantially modified that it's counterfeit, or consumers are still thinking it's our shoe because it's not modified so much that they think it's us. So that's where I'm torn on it. It's hard for me to say this whole thing is dumb because there is backlash happening. Nike does have to protect their trademarks, but at the same time, I just don't know if this is going to be enough for there to be that substantial brand confusion. I just don't know if this is going to fly. Like long term, I just don't see this flying. How long this will fly for, we'll see. So I don't see Nike winning this at the end. I really don't. I'm going to look for a few more of y'all's questions for sure. Prediction: Nike will win this one. Okay, as told by Thielen, we'll see. I don't know. It's again possible that Nike wins parts of this one, and we will see, because if they're going to win on the, trademark infringement, will it necessarily bounce out some of the other things? I don't know. I really don't know. I wonder, do I think this will survive like a motion to dismiss? Probably, and go to some discovery to see what's actually going on. I imagine that as Nike receives more backlash on this, they will build their case of consumer confusion, because if they receive calls, emails, letters, ats on Twitter, I imagine that amount of material will build. So we'll see. I don't know. I understand why Nike's doing it. Do I think it is like, oh, Nike's going to win this? No. Is this a slam dunk? No. If this wasn't a satanic shoe, would Nike be so riled about it? I don't know. I don't think it's the imagery on the shoe that's the issue. It's the public's perception of the imagery on the shoe that's an issue, if that makes sense to everybody. Let me go through. Looking for questions. Fred and George are great. They're outside the door running around quite loudly today. I need to put up more videos of them. I have not been online a ton. I've been doing other work. Question: are you aware that Lil Nas X tweeted this is going to be a good ass South Park episode? No. No, I am not aware that he tweeted that. When did he tweet that? But it should be a South Park episode. I mean, we're all on the same train of thought, because this kind of it feels like a South Park episode. And I understand that some people are genuinely hurt by this, but it's not like the Satan shoes aren't directed to, like, I don't know. They're not directed at people. They're a modified shoe. Let's see what Lil Nas X, I think, is probably enjoying the the, I don't know, publicity that's coming with this for the new song, because outrage marketing works. Oh, 35 minutes ago, he did tweet it. That's hilarious. We'll retweet it. It is going to be a good South Park episode. Let's go through. So Lil Nas, if you're watching, hi. Aren't you glad you're not being sued? What would MSCHF's next step be in the legal process here? Laura, that's a fantastic question. Thank you for asking it. So as we all know, the next steps in civil litigation, law nerds, are you can answer the complaint and just say, yeah, we did that shit, but there's a reason we have a defense, or yeah, we didn't do any of that shit, so whatever. Or you can do pre-answer litigation, which would be things like arguing for jurisdiction, raising a motion to dismiss for failure to state claim, a 12b6 motion, things like that. So either answer it or move to dismiss it. Also, MSCHF could just reach out to Nike and be like, bruh, seriously? Can we just resolve this? Do you want us to put out a statement saying that it's not affiliated with Nike? They also could just have a conversation and resolve it. That can always happen too. So those are the three. Those are the three things. So let me see what else. Okay, we answered that. We answered that for sure. Question, when is Salt's making an appearance on your show? When we know that the KJ stuff is all completely done. And I don't think it's done. This is a fun little lawsuit. Love that. Me too. I'm so old I identify Nike sneakers with Heaven's Gate. I didn't know there was an association there. I'll definitely have to look it up. Question, can they use the Jesus shoe example in court? I mean, can they? They can say, yes, they did, but I don't know the purpose of it. Can they say, look, Nike didn't sue over this one and they're suing over this one? Yeah, but the argument would be, well, that was a more limited run. It was only 24 shoes. And really the heart of this is it's not the content of the shoes. Like these shoes could have any theme. It's the outrage over the shoes that caused the brand damage. So it's not particularly the modification, it's the response of the public to the modification. And because the modification also because these were released during, the Easter season, I think there's a particularly heightened frustration. I think that a lot of Christians in the United States already feel under attack. I think people feel attacked by this. I'm not judging whether feelings are feelings. I'm not going to judge anybody's feelings. But from the outrage I've seen, people feel attacked by this. I don't think it's about them. I don't think this is directed at Christians. I don't think this is directed at anyone other than people who are going to use the shoes to kind of either represent their own beliefs or do it as kind of a counterculture thing. So question, would Nike have more of a case if it was more obscene? I don't think so, because again, if the outrage was the same, then the outrage is the same. So it's regarding the confusion in the public's perception more than the actual imagery on the shoe. Looking for a few more questions. Somebody just knocked something over. So Better Day says there's clearly customer confusion. They are Nike shoes. Sorry, I'm a bit behind. And that's the thing. They are modified Nike shoes. So they are actually Nike shoes. And Nike is saying that they're so transformed that they are now kind of essentially counterfeit goods, or they are so transformed that it's infringing on their trademark. But if they're that transformed, is there not brand confusion anymore? Is Nike going to pay the people who bought them back if they want the shoe destroyed? No, the company would have to do it. So the company would have to do it. I'm sure there were people who weren't happy about the Jesus shoe either. I don't think they received this level of backlash, or they would have sued then. Because if they received this level of backlash, I imagine they would have sued then. At some point, Nike has to protect their trademark. So Nike has a good, if people are like, hey, this lawsuit's stupid, there's no brand confusion. And from what I've seen on Twitter, there is actual confusion about whether this was a collab or not. That's what I'm seeing from people being like, wait, what? So I'm seeing that confusion online, but the outrage is the thing that can damage Nike's brand reputation. And so there might not have been the level of outrage over the Jesus shoe that there is over this shoe. So that's what it is. I mean, the argument for MSCHF is going to be like, well, Nike has done these other things that damage their reputation. This thing isn't damaging their reputation. It just depends on how much they bring up to the forefront. Isn't Nike's logo just do it? So now they're suing for what they preach. Well, I don't think just do it means just infringe on our trademark. Can they countersue for false advertising, asking for a friend? I think you're being sarcastic, and I'm going to go with that, because just do it is their logo for like, just embrace your athleticism and your spirit. I don't think it's just go ahead and infringe on us. Question 3, Force Yoda. If I buy a BMW, wrap it, change the rims, upgrade the engine, keep the logo, say I created a car company, buy my car at a premium price, wouldn't that be exactly what MSCHF did? It's a little bit different, but the way the question is phrased is like, I've started a car company. Now you're advertising that you've created a car versus, hey, I've modified this car. I am a modifier, like West Coast Customs or something. Being a modifier is modifying something's different than, hey, I'm selling a car and I've created this thing. There's a difference between the two, because then you do have a source of goods or an origin of goods potentially. So modifying cars, again, is very similar. It depends on how you sell it. Like, I've modified this car. Here it is. It's modified. Is not as much of a problem. So I hope I interpreted that question correctly and answered it. All right, let me get to a few more questions and then we're going to wrap up. Questions. Could one defense be that MSCHF bought X numbers versus Y people swearing on? I don't know if the numbers are going to come into it. It just depends on the finances will come onto it if they get to discovery, where it's like, how much did you make off of these shoes and how much did you put into modifying these shoes? Like, what were the profits here? But I think the question is, could selling 600 shoes, it's like, well, you sold 600 we bought 600 Nikes and there's like less than 600 people outraged. It's not as tangible as that when it comes to brand reputation, because it's now how Nike is perceived worldwide, not just how they're perceived in the US because of this. So that's what it is. Question. Isn't the section where they lay out the confusion, however, rather poor? It doesn't give an A to B to C if what they put in the suit is the best of the confusion they can show. I don't know if it's the best they can show. It's definitely what they chose. I think from what I've seen online, there's more there. I don't know why that's what they chose. I don't think it's a great section. And I think if it were me, if I was MSCHF, that I would probably go after the motion to dismiss first. It might not work, but I think I would go after the motion to dismiss first on the complaint, because it's thin. I think they could have done more to show brand confusion. I don't think it's directly correlated enough. So question, does the rep damage have to be in the States? Yes, some of it has to be in the States. MSCHF is a big deal. Nike should embrace it and do an official collab. I don't know if they can at this point. People are super pissed. Also, I think for brands, for old, long-standing brands, it's hard for them to navigate the way things are changing online and the way that culture is changing online, because people will see a headline and just be like, fuck you, Nike, we're done, without going that one step further to be like, oh, this wasn't actually a Nike collab. And that's the reactivity that we see online, where people see just a blip of something and form an opinion off of it and move on. I think that's why Nike brought this lawsuit so fast, to try to keep their version of events in the news cycle, which is part of this. I'm not saying there isn't a proper purpose with suing to protect brand reputation and trademark, but I'm saying the reason this is coming so fast, in my perception, is that Nike wants their part of the narrative in the news cycle too, so people will see the headline so they can kind of stop the bleeding on brand reputation. I feel like I'm the only one who thinks this is classic textbook brand confusion. Christina, we'll see. The thing that's hard for me is, are consumers who are buying sneakers really confused if they go to the website to buy it? You can't get them on the Nike website. If they see that they're MSCHF and Nas X and they're aware of sneakers, like, is it really? I don't know. I think there's a lot of confusion online. Will the court say that is reasonable consumer confusion of the people who are going to be buying these shoes? Are they going to be confused? Just like in the Taylor Swift case, you saw Taylor Swift's lawyers going, look, Swifties are not going to be confused that the theme park is not Taylor Swift. And MSCHF might turn around and argue, look, sneakerheads are not going to be confused buying something through MSCHF that this is not a Nike collaboration. They are buying them because our brand reputation in the modification and resale market, and it's probably not called the modification market, I don't know, in the kind of custom shoe market, our reputation is such that when people see that it's a MSCHF shoe, they know that we've modified it. They know that this is our art on it. They know that we've created this. And so there isn't confusion. So it'll be an interesting back and forth to see what the court does with that, because I think there's arguments on both sides of it. Do I think it'll just get bounced right out of court? No, I think it has more merit than that. Do I think they could have put better stuff in the complaint? Yes. Do I think it will be a really good evaluation of where some of these boundaries are and where brand confusion meets reactive, the reactive culture meets outrage marketing? Like, it's all meeting in the middle. And I get why Nike's mad. Like, I understand that the purpose of the marketing on this shoe and the song is to get people talking about it. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to be mad about it. Some people are going to love that other people are mad about it. But Nike gets caught in the middle of that without any say in it. And I can understand where they're like, no, we have to protect our brand. I get it. So I get it. It would be fun if one customer Nike holds up as evidence that this hurt their brand and it was Lorianne. I mean, the interplay between all the lawsuits we talk about. Speculation, they didn't include the comments on MSCHF's tweets, as the majority of the tweets are on MSCHF's side. And again, that will all come up then in discovery, that there isn't actual brand confusion. So we'll see. Do I think Nike will amend? I don't know if they need to. Could they? I don't know if they'll need to. I don't know that we'll need to. Do sneakerheads matter if the average consumer is confused? It can. Because just like you're asking, who's the customer here? Is there actual consumer damage with the customer? And as you look at who the customer is, just like in the Taylor Swift case, they're like, look, this is a savvy customer. The customer who's buying these goods is this kind of customer profile. So Nike's going to argue, look, we have general consumers and our general consumers are confused. And MSCHF's going to argue our consumers are savvy consumers and they're not confused. So who the consumer is could be an argument here for sure. Could this lawsuit be a marketing tactic by Nike? Yes. With the purpose of making it super clear they're not the people making the shoe? Yes. And kind of officially clearing their name? Yes, DeWolfie. I talk about that a little bit at the beginning too, that this is definitely dual purpose. And I think the timing of the lawsuit was to keep the news of the lawsuit in the same news cycle with like, oh, these Satan shoes are released. Nike's suing over Satan shoes. Because then that headline might make somebody actually pause to go, okay, well, maybe Nike didn't do this collab. Hello, Meriden. Nike is a huge corporation willing and able to drop a few thousand on a lawsuit to get the report out there to non-sneakerheads that this isn't their product, a bone to throw at the outrage mob. I think that this is as much PR as it is protecting or attempting to protect their brand reputation through their trademark. They said in the beginning of this lawsuit, like No, that's an exaggeration. More than a few times at the beginning of this, they say repeatedly that it is materially altered. This was done without Nike's authorization or approval. Nike's in no way connected with this project. Nike does not approve or authorize. Nike follows this lawsuit to maintain control of their brand. They make it very, very clear. I mean, it's a clear and well-written lawsuit. I think they probably could have found better examples of brand confusion, but it's a clear and well-written lawsuit. And the whole beginning of it, if you read the first 2 pages, says, not us, not us, not us, not us. We didn't do it. We're not involved. We didn't do it. So we will see. There's no chance that that I agree with you. I don't think anyone's arguing about the blood. I wanted to see somebody argue about the blood. Nobody is. Question, could there be a problem with talk of human blood in the soles? Nike said that the paint in the soles or the alteration of the soles could be a safety issue. I don't know if that will actually fly. The blood is mixed in with paint, so I don't know if it's going to be enough to meet the standards of like transporting bodily fluids or anything like that. Question, if Nike were to win and to take the shoes to be destroyed, would they have to pay? No, they wouldn't. MSCHF for the cost of the shoes since they were purchased legally. I don't think that they would, because MSCHF chose to modify them and sell them in the way that they did. Without an injunction, can they still continue selling the shipping and selling the shoes? Yep, they sure can. Whether the profits will be disengorged later is going to be up for this lawsuit. So they sure can. All right. Whose blood is it though? Articles, like news reports have said it's from people at MSCHF that did it themselves, that like poked their finger and mixed it in with the paint. That's what was said in reports, I believe, from the Fashion Law blog, which is a fantastic blog that covers this stuff. And I've retweeted some of their stuff. So I think that that's where I saw the reports that it was from people at MSCHF. Could Lil Nas X be held responsible? He's not listed in this lawsuit. He didn't make the shoes. He didn't manufacture the shoes. He knew he wasn't collabing with Nike. I don't think he said he was collabing with Nike. I don't think he's implied that he's collabing with Nike. So I think that would be a reach, a big reach. Okay, you guys, thank you so much. If online outrage from a headline becomes the basis for lawsuits, there's going to be a lot of content, right? And I think that that's part of the problem with the reactive nature of social media. It's like, I saw a thing, I'm pissed about the thing, I've reacted to the thing, but I haven't really actually investigated the thing, read about the thing, or know about the thing. And that happens so much right now. And it's hard to say to people without sounding mean, like, but did you read it though? But did you read it though? But did you read it though? And we saw this in the David Dobrik. Like, I'm going to soapbox for a second, then I'm going to wrap up. We saw this in the David Dobrik stuff where Jeff filmed a whole live video throwing Kat Tenberg under the bus and then admitted he didn't even read the entire article. I mean, he since made a better apology video, explained the circumstance, but the first response was like, my name is mentioned in this and I'm outraged and I have to respond. And I think social media can push influencers and others to feel like they have to respond to something quickly. I also think there's a lot of performative outrage that happens online. That's a whole separate conversation. But I think people get very quick to be like, I'm upset about this. I need to let everybody know about it. And there's calls for that. Like when people don't respond fast enough, the internet's like, why the fuck aren't you responding? Where's your response? You're supposed to respond today. Where's the response? I want you to respond. Respond now. Why haven't we heard it? And then when people respond, there is a lot of like, well, that wasn't a great response. So in some of this stuff, there's just no winning. And I think for the brands involved, a considered measure needs to happen. Nike clearly responded to stay in the news cycle. The timing of this was key to them. This was put together, I'm sure they started considering it on the 26th. They waited to see what the outrage was going to be. The outrage is enough that 4 days later, they filed a lawsuit. So that's where we're at. But I think for those that are actually genuinely outraged at Nike about this in particular, not taking the next step to ask, that seems odd. Like it seems odd that Nike would have a full-on, full-ass satanic shoe. Like, this seems strange. Maybe look into the one next step as to, did Nike actually do this? Like, just one more question versus, fuck you, Nike. Like, when the response is like, I hate this, fuck you, then there's no conversation there, because it's all just an emotional response versus I don't like that Nike did that. Did they actually do that? The one next step. And that's what this lawsuit's going to say is, people don't take the one next step. They saw those marketing photos and they were like, Nike collabed with Lil Nas X to make a Satan shoe. Fuck Nike. And that might be enough. John, I asked earlier about the cleanliness of the blood. Like, was there a screening process? If you step on a nail and it goes through the bladder of the sole in your foot, are you okay? I'm taking, because the LOL, I'm taking that as a joke. Once again, the articles, the employees said that they just like literally picked their finger and mixed it in, but I think it's so diluted in paint, it's probably not like an actual biohazard because it's not enough. It's an actual biohazard. Aussie Annie, I think this is an excellent point that people could just say, I'm aware of this and I will read and respond. I think but I think it's also hard for people because they respond like they're feeling like they're being attacked in things and that they have to respond. And people who are outraged about this get really mad because they're like, I see it and I feel hurt and I feel angered and I need to share that hurt and anger. It's hard. Taking things slow is hard. And when I've gone through things online, when people have been like, fuck this and fuck that, and you said this and you did this, I'm like, but I didn't. But this is an emotional response and I can't explain the situation to an emotional response because you're still just mad and you're going to be mad. And I'm not going to tell you you're wrong for being mad, be mad, but there's more information there. So Nike is on the receiving end of people just being mad and not really looking into the situation, which might be enough to say there is brand damage, brand reputational damage, and there is, brand confusion here. Emily, when you saw the first promo pic, did you think it was Nike or did you think it was a third-party collab prior to release statements? I didn't really think about it at all because I didn't see this come up as an issue until it was already an issue. So once I saw it was an issue, I was like, oh, what's MSCHF? That was my first question. So, but I generally ask questions first because when it seems like everybody's really mad over something that Nike did, I'm like, but did they do it? Like, I just want to know what they did. So I didn't think really one way or the other when I saw this story come up. I saw, Lil Nas X Satan shoe. I'm like, what is happening? And then I looked into it further because that's what I do. I will tell you, Paul, there was a situation, and I've told this story before. There was a situation with headlines last year regarding a change in law in California. And the headlines were horrible. And it was, California, trigger warning, I'm going to talk about like kid things. I'm not going to talk about it deeply, but it was like California legalizes P-word stuff that James Charles is accused of. P-word stuff with kids. And I was like, what in the ever-loving... I'm like, what is happening here? And the headlines, I was like, what? This... But my next thought was, this can't be the whole story versus what is the California legislature doing? They're ruining the world, blah, 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 blah. And so I did the next thing for me going, oh, wow, I'm mad at this headline. Like, this headline has elicited a lot of an emotional response. I read the headline and I was like, what the fuck? And then I was like, okay, but this can't be right. Like, California didn't legalize something that's actually illegal already. I know this. I've worked as a district attorney for over 10 years. I am aware, but the headline still got me first. And it took me a minute to go, that headline got me. What's the whole story here? And the whole story there was that laws had been made more equal in California between straight youths and homosexual youths, so that homosexual youths didn't have to register as sex offenders for engaging in things that straight youths engage in without having to register as sex offenders. And that the DAs who were behind this law and promoted it to Congress were very proud of the work they'd done to get that law passed to treat all youths equally when it comes to the behavior. And so it didn't do what the headlines were saying that it did, but the headlines were written that way to outrage people. And even sometimes I get caught up into it first and I'm like, ooh, yuck, I hate it. What's happening? Why do I hate it here? And then I have to ask, but what is it actually? Because the headlines are never always what it is actually, but it gets me too. Again, Wizard's first rule, people will believe something either because they want it to be true or because they fear it could be true. That's a fantastic reminder. Perfect summary of social media outrage mobs. Terry Goodkin, Meriden, that is a fantastic, fantastic reminder. And I think that is very, very accurate. Very accurate. So I'm sorry I didn't just go like, we had lots of conversation. That was fantastic. I didn't see what we are congratulating Amy for, but congratulations, Amy. Congratulations. The shoes are more valuable now because of the lawsuit. Oh, for fucking sure. There was a comment. It might have also been on the Fashion Law blog, and I've retweeted them again on Twitter. If you want to read their stuff, they're great. The Fashion Law is fantastic. And they do literally just fashion law, which keeps them completely busy. I do pop culture law mostly, which keeps me completely busy. But I think it was the Fashion Law talking about the fact that MSCHF is like, we know that there's a chance that we'll be sued, but if we get sued, that it will boost brand reputation. It's like you see people kind of get quasi canceled, but it boosts their follower numbers and it boosts their subscriber numbers. It's like, is it really going to be damaging to MSCHF at the end of the day? Probably not. Did you see the 19 essay charges on the quarterback Deshaun Watson? I saw the headlines. I have not read the case yet, and I have not read the filings. I've also seen what's going on in Minnesota, not with regard to Georgia. I mean, yes, with regard to the Chauvin trial, but also with regard to the new Supreme Court ruling. And I just haven't had a chance to read that ruling yet and give my opinion on it. One, Emily, if your t-shirts become internationally famous like Nike and somebody modifying, adding demonic signs, and everyone on Twitter are mad at you, Emily, right? And I would say it's not me. And that would be the thing. I get it. I mean, I've been misrepresented on the internet before. It's not like it hasn't happened, and it is frustrating. And I don't have any shade towards Nike for filing suit. I literally have no shade at Nike for filing suit. I understand why they filed it. Absolutely understand why they filed this lawsuit. And I understand their frustration and wanting to keep control of their brand. But also, will their brand reputation long-term be damaged? I don't know. So I get it. Question: if someone modified shoe and item to the point where it could potentially cause injury while wearing it, could that be? Yeah, that's a different type. If they modified it in a way that could be absolutely unsafe, that becomes a different type of an issue. And yes, more importantly, will you be buying the shoes? First, they sold out in a minute. Second, I think they're selling on let's go look on eBay real quick, and then I'm wrapping up. I imagine they're selling for quite a lot of money on eBay. And third, Nikes run really narrow, so I wear Adidas. Like, I'm a loyal girl. I'm very loyal to my Adidas. Let's look at eBay just because I'm curious. And the mods are like, why are we still talking? I get it. I want to see what these Satan shoes are selling for on eBay. Well, that's not a lot. Okay, let's take a look real quick at the eBay listings. But no, I will not be buying Satan shoes. And I get it. I get both sides of the argument. I just don't know if it'll legally fly. So Lil Nas X Satan shoes, size 10, confirmed order 6,666.66, size 8.5 men's, 2,699. So that's still a pretty decent profit. So these are selling between what, 6,000 and like 2,000, 6,000, depending on the size. I'm not surprised they're already for resale. So did everybody just wait in line to resell these? Did the people who buy them not even want them? I hate that. But there's quite a lot of them listed up here on eBay saying that they're confirmed order. So we'll see if these get shipped. We'll see what the court does. The court set a hearing on this in June. So it's not as if we're going to hear anything from this quickly. Let's see what Yeah, the court set a hearing for this in June. So we'll probably get some form of an answer before then, and we'll swing back around. We'll swing back around on that. So that's what it is. I would love to know your thoughts. Thank you for hanging on to the end of this video. Do the YouTube things if you've liked and subscribed. If you're new here, thank you. You can follow me on the social medias at the Emily D. Baker. We'll see. We'll see what happens with this. I don't know how far this is going to get. I am very, very interested. You guys are like, please tell me that it's June 6th. Wouldn't that be great? Let me pull up the, let me pull up the, where is it? There's still other lawsuits we want to cover. Y'all, things keep happening and I feel like I'm behind. Tomorrow, there's a new video and podcast episode of The Emily Show dropping that goes into all of the Girardi stuff, like kind of I want to call it a rundown, but so much has happened. It doesn't just run it down quickly. It is a breakdown of everything that's happened in that case kind of quickly. No, June 29th, sadly. June 29th. So the telephone initial conference will be held in this case on June 29th at 10:30 a.m. before the judge. All counsel required to attend, all parties directed to call toll free, and they put the number and the access code in there. No additional security code is needed. Once all parties are on the line, it will connect. The parties are reminded that pursuant to Local Rule 1.8, they may not independently record any court proceedings. A transcript of the proceedings may be ordered from the clerk's office. Counsel are directed. Yeah. And so all that's happened is the complaint was filed on the 29th. The case was assigned to the judge. The local rules were made note of. The attorney in the case filing has been checked for quality. Summons issued to MSCHF. Notice of report filing of the action, and then the scheduling order. So all that just happened automatically when this was filed. So June 29th is when this is coming back to the court for hearing, unless something happens before then and they ask to speed it up. We will see what happens with Nike among the other cases that we keep following. If you are a channel member, I will see you live on Thursday. I think I'm going to bring hubby in for Q&A for all of us for the members only live stream on Thursday. New video tomorrow, and then we'll be back for Friday Night Live. I know it's right before Easter. It's Good Friday. I will be here. Hopefully you will be here, and I will talk to you guys soon. Thanks for hanging out for this one. Don't forget to do the things. I will talk to you soon. Oh, the mods left me a note. I will talk to you soon. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Bye. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at the Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.